Morning. How are you today? Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Hooray, it's the weekend. Finally made it. Yeah, it's kind of early. It's not even 8 o'clock yet, but I was thinking all night last night about how Texas, I read this article on how they were about minutes to not maybe even seconds away from a full grid down scenario. Up into many months, they would have been without power if they didn't act instantly. And it just goes to show just how vulnerable the grid system really is. When I talk about like prepping, preparing, shit hitting the fan, civil war coming, that's kind of the first thing I think about is a grid down scenario, because I do think that'll be the first thing hit. Being without power is kind of a big deal. We're so used to it. But it's only because we're used to it. There's been people surviving for thousands of years with no electricity. Yeah, it's true. Being up here in Washington, seeing that little skiff of snow that they got down there totally turn their world upside down, I'm just like, boy, oh boy. But that's the difference. We winterize. I've heard that a lot. Like, why did they not winterize their structure? This is just the beginning. It got me thinking, like last year, when they started closing down the stores, they even went so far as closing down departments. Couldn't get seeds, couldn't get anything unless it was considered essential. So that is what really motivates me to prep more and continue prepping. Because it's not just like one situation that could cause you to have to bug in or even potentially have to bug out. Like in my case, we have forest fires a lot. So I do have a bug out bag because you never know when somebody's going to knock on your door and tell you you're at a level 3 evacuation. It happens. Last thing you want to be is stuck and caught in a scenario where you have to leave and you don't, one, know where to go, and two, don't have the food and supplies to take care of yourself for at least 3 days. Some people say 30, some people say a year. It just kind of depends on the scenario. If you had a good pantry, a good bag of supplies and needs, you could easily last 72 hours. Everyone should have at least 72-hour supply at the ready. Seeing these people lined up at the grocery stores down there in Texas, only being able to come in a few at a time, it's crazy. They were warned. They knew ahead of time that this storm was coming. And it just goes to show how many people just don't have this sense or proper ideas on what to do in that situation. There's people down there killing themselves with carbon monoxide poisoning. The other day I read they had over 300 carbon monoxide poisonings. Do people not know the basics of, using coal in your car? It's just astounding to me. But yeah, people don't know. If the grid went down in Texas, the entire thing, can you imagine the ramifications, not just here, but across the world? There are so many companies that have bought into Texas because they're the power place of the world. Even Boeing is going down there. I was just reading how Samsung is buying a huge factory down there. They're going to build it. It should be ready by next year, 2022, for all of their chip manufacturing and such. Oh, guys, have you seen the new robots that they just put out? One will do your dishes. Yeah, they have two new weird robots that they're rolling on out into the public. The singularity is near. If that grid goes down, that will create such a chaotic ripple effect. I can't even imagine. Plus, all those Californians that have just been exodusing their way to Texas. There's probably not twice, but there has got to be a lot more pressure being put on that grid just in the last year from people moving that way. I mean, they're all following Elon Musk, right? I had a friend try to tell me yesterday that memes are language. It's like, oh, hell no. It's not a language I ever want to speak, is meme language. Is that the way of the future? He was trying to argue that we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to create our own utopia to where we'll no longer have any needs. I really don't see that ever happening, but people have their basic needs, and they're fairly simple: warmth, food, and water, and shelter, which kind of goes with the warmth, you know. About it. You can survive. Look at prisoners. I was watching a story about this French aristocrat that was locked in the attic for 25 years by her mother. When they found her, she was like 49 years old. This is back in like the 1900s, a long time ago. She only weighed 55 pounds, had been living in a tiny room in her own filth that entire time. Air wasn't even breathable. She had bugs crawling all over her. And they found her, and she lived 12 more years after that. Probably not the best of lives, but, you know, it's all about surviving. If you can survive, you can thrive. But you have to learn how to survive. That's why people want to get off grid, because they're understanding the grid is not as reliable as we really think it is, and it's getting taxed more and more. It's old technology that we're using. We need to go to DC and figure out what Tesla is wanting to do for us with the wireless. Why is everything in our life wireless except power? Does that make sense to you or me? No. We should have wireless power. It should be free. And even if it's not, I mean, our cells aren't free. We can pay our wireless bill. But it's just a way to keep you paying, you know. Plus, we've put in the infrastructure already, but they are trying to change it. You look at these gas stations, they're converting them. A lot of them now do have the electric vehicle plug-in station to go along with it. Yeah, it's slowly happening. But change, when you wake up, it'll seem so rapid. Because of how slowly it's taking place, you don't really notice it until one day you're just like, whoa, it's all changed. It's that analogy like you put a dog on a chain, remove one chain at a time. Eventually, the dog won't have any space to run, but it won't even mind. It won't know any better. We're a lot like dogs. You can train us. Superior monkeys at best. So for prepping, not just for a shit hits the fan type scenario, but for a grid down scenario, evacuation scenario. Like me, 2 years ago, my entire house flooded out. Everything in my home was completely destroyed in a matter of minutes while I was at work. No fault of my own. So I feel for these people down there that pipes are breaking and such, because water is the worst, especially down there because it's going to hit like 70 degrees. They're going to have mold. Mold is the worst. They had to treat this house, get it dry quickly. But it literally left me homeless for 18 months. The first 9, I was bouncing hotel to hotel with 2 kids, So I know the difficulties that it can be when you get displaced. It's seriously not easy. It'll bring you down and it will put you in debt. It will change your normal routine and probably your attitude a bit. You won't see such friendly faces. That's probably another reason I'm really taking the time to think about my supplies. If I ever had to leave my house again for a year, I definitely wouldn't go about it the same way. I would just rent a place or something. But the reason I didn't is because I didn't think it would take that long. And when you're dealing with insurance, so that's another thing. State Farm, saw this on the news yesterday. They're like the biggest insurance agency. They had about almost 4,000 cases nationwide. Already in Texas, they have 3,800. Yeah, I'll be right back. Sorry, I thought I heard something, but I didn't. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, 3,800 cases already in Texas. If you've got a claim, put it in now. Heart goes out to those people. I know exactly how they're feeling. But to think, that little bit of a snow, we have that much snow here right now. Even Seattle is smartening up. They used to not be snow ready at all. But over the years, they've been getting a few storms, and now I think even they prepare a little better. But not like they should. Seattle needs to worry about when the earthquake hits, because that'll probably be what takes them out. But they're even doing things like that, like they closed down the viaduct, and yeah. This stuff is old. Our infrastructure is aged out. And I think what's happening in Texas only just goes to show as a wake-up call to people that maybe you should be putting solar panels on your house, or thinking of alternate ways to power things, have the supply of propane. Yeah. Or maybe not, and they'll just continue to line up like little lemmings. It's crazy. So I do things like last night I made some relish. Turned out pretty good. It's a little liquidy. I hope that it thickens up. I think I added too much vinegar, but that's okay. And I like to buy things like Augustin Farms, but you have to watch this because some of it is long-term storage, some of it is not. But these are just like vegetable seeds because if you remember last year, it was really hard to get seeds. So this year I'm trying to buy them a little bit early. I probably won't use these seeds. I'll just put them up and keep them. But I can only keep them for about 5 years. Then I'm going to want to use them. But that's what it says, 5 years. I bet 8 years I'd be able to take these out if I don't open the can or anything and germinate some seeds. Yeah. I'd buy a pig if I could. I was looking at these coonies. Oh man, they're cute. But the problem with that is I would end up making it a pet, and I really don't need a pet pig. It's about the last thing I need. Maybe a goat or something would be better if I want to just have a pet, but probably not. I'll leave the barnyard animals for another day. I'm just not ready for that. I live in town. I don't even think I can have a rooster. Maybe some chickens, though. Yep. You got to work with what you got. If you don't have much, it's kind of that saying, like, what is it from Fight Club? The things that you own eventually end up owning you. Not having much can be a positive too, because it leaves you a little more mobile, a little more free to be able to just think about those needs and survival mode. You've already probably been living in a survival mode, so yeah, you probably have an advantage over those that are coming out of their 2,000 square foot homes expecting the luxuries of, a hot bath or something. And then realizing they don't have any water. Yeah, it happens. Just look at Texas. They're lucky. I mean, I still feel like the damage has been done. It's still going to take them a significant amount of time to even get it to where it's a worthy system. This summer, when it's, 200 degrees down there, everyone's running their swamp coolers. I think we'll see more blackouts. That's my prediction. California has to do them. There's a serious problem with how much power we actually have. And up here, I live in a county that has like 12 dams or something ridiculous. But we lose power too. When a big windstorm comes through or something. Yeah. But I have two sources of alternate heat. I have my motorhome that has the propane stove and the huge water tank, holding tank. So if I needed to, I could shower and do those things, have the fresh water. But not everybody has those things. But some do, and they don't even think to use them. It's like some of those people down there, they probably have a tent in their garage. They should be putting that tent on their bed with a ton of blankets and getting inside of it. And trust me, just your bodies in there will create some warmth. Put some of those hand warmers under the blankets. You do what you gotta do. We get cold up here. But when you live in a place like Texas, I guess they probably have really good ideas on how to cool down, not warm up. Like the rag behind the neck and the big sombreros. Yeah. The only time I wear a straw hat up here is when I want to go wine tasting and look really bougie because it's just not necessary. Our sun isn't, sometimes, but our sun is more something you want to bask in. You don't want to keep it away. shouldn't say that. People will start coming over here more, but we do get like 300 days of it. Where you live is a big deal on how you prepare and what you prep and the things you're going to do and where you go and what kind of scenarios you're thinking of having to be prepared for. In Texas, they have like tornadoes, hurricanes. We don't have stuff like that, but we have volcanoes, you know. Yeah, a huge mountain range. They don't have stuff like that. So you really have to think about like pretty lucky to have the mountains, but the mountains can kill you. I'll tell you right now. You don't want to get stuck up there in those mountains because, yeah, nature. There's wild animals, there's just dangers in particular. A tree could fall on you, who knows? Slip and fall down a 300-foot cliff. It happens. Because you know what? We're humans. And we don't have hooves to keep us off the ground. It's true. So, tell me, what do you prep for? My tummy is growling. Gotta go make some oatmeal or something. Toast. Yeah, it's breakfast time. Wow, 20 minutes I've been ranting about this. But it seriously is something that is usually on the top of my mind. When you have kids and stuff, I guess you always want to think about how, in a worst case scenario, you would be able to keep them safe and warm, cozy and comfy. But life isn't safe, warm, cozy, or comfy. Those four things are not things I would describe just normal life. Life is full of predators and prey. We're just lucky we're at the top of that food chain because most things out there are looking for what's wanting to eat them all day long. Yeah, the circle of life. Where do you belong in it? All right, guys, I'm gonna get offline before my tummy goes crazy on me. I'm gonna go eat, read some more doomsday scenarios. Why not? But there are better ways than, carbon monoxide poisoning to heat yourself up. Like some of these people I'm seeing, I'm like, what are you doing? They have like little fires going and stuff, and they're all bundled around. I'm like, that's not how you play with fire, people. You're going to burn yourself or the house down. Yeah, I can only imagine. They said, like, I can't even remember the exact number, but it was an extreme amount of house fires and structure fires that they were having to tend to down there as well. Yeah, I guess when you don't know, you just don't know. Oh boy. All right, guys, have a good day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the likes. Bye bye. Thanks for the comments. Let me know. What do you prep for? Zombies? Bye, guys.